Okay, so gathering again our crystal broadcasters. So glad to be back together with you. I'm hoping once enough is sufficient, but boy, there's a lot going on out there in the world. And we gather together on the sacred ground of sovereignty. Each of us, ourselves, our families, our homes, our lands, surrounded in the guardian circle vortex of love and expansion and creating fearlessly as we are totally protected and cleared of any of the dominator energy influence. And in this time of continuing the transition into a world that is different, we have the opportunity to understand the power of our word, the power of our broadcasting, the power of working with the crystalline kingdom and all aspects of nature and beyond, to hold foundations for that good that we are moving into. So we invite those unseen teams, guides, teachers, loved ones who are also committed to that world that reflects the divine family's agendas of good here on this planet and throughout all worlds, to be here. We know there is such a plan. We know that we have been called to that plan, this particular part of it. And we ask them to be with us closely, to be those voices that guide and open doors. So our circle is set for this work with this degree of safety and love and guidance, healing and magnificent creations. And so it is. So having spoken the container for the space, let each one of us put ourselves into the space with name where you are on the planet and any specific quality that you feel to be added to the space beyond your presence vibration. And we'll just tag around. So Sharon, Raji, Maynard still on Woodby Island today, sunny. And I want to bring into that space a sense of deepening into bedrock roots of the divine. Margie.
Hi, it's Margie Lystra. I'm in Sandy, Utah. We had rain overnight and it's cold here today. I want to bring in the power of grace, empowered compassion. Angelique?
Thank you, Margie. Hi, everyone from the Netherlands, from Den Haag, from The Hague on the West Coast. It has been a beautiful day today here. It's springtime and it's beautiful. I've been walking in the woods last 2 days ago, and it's totally blue flowered, totally a carpet of blue flowers. I will send you pictures so that you can enjoy that as well. And it's very magical. Very many fairies are there. So that's totally my world. And I love to bring in sacred healing of the stones. And I go to Cinda.
I'm Cinda. I'm in Portland, Oregon. And I'd like to bring in motherhood. And I'll call on Sue.
Thank you. I'm Sue from Issaquah, Washington, and I have lots of sunshine in between a lot of clouds. When the sunshine feels really good. I want to bring in wisdom and clarity. And I'll call on Arlie.
Good morning. I'm Arlie. I'm in Eastbourne, New Zealand, just across the harbor from Wellington. We are in the middle of a blustery winter northerly, whitecaps on the harbor, gray, gray, gray as far as the eye can see. What I want to bring in is the way a storm stirs everything up and then the winds blow away that which is not needed. And I think that's all of us.
It is all of us. I just wanted to point out, Margie is in Sandy, Utah. I was born in Sandy, Utah. I grew up in Sandy, Utah. Whenever she says that, it takes me back to my childhood. It's really great. Okay, so here we are. We haven't seen each other for about a month. So what do you want to say into the circle? And it doesn't, just whatever you feel to say, to share, to be able to hear one another. Let's just leave it that kind of question. What haven't we heard from you that you'd like us to know? And let's start with you, Sue. Muted.
I'm Sue. So I gathered a week's worth of information and it just changed my kaleidoscope. And I felt like I ended something and is about to begin something. I have reached the fork and I don't know which direction. I had a vision. I was in a meditation and then it moved into like a vision and I was holding my own meditation and teaching in meditation. And now I feel like I don't need any more information. I did what I did. It's kind of like the letdown. Mm-hmm. And don't know. I'm in the I don't know. If something doesn't just manifest, like my next step, then I have to wait and see what it is, where exactly it's going to take me. Or anyway, clarity. I need some clarity now. And yesterday I spent the whole day with my daughter for Mother's Day on her property, gathering and burning brush for hours and hours and hours. And I woke up crabby and I think I'm tired. But it was so wonderful being outdoors all day. It was just wonderful. So I'm in an in-between state. And that's okay. But that's where I am. My kaleidoscope is completely different and I don't know exactly what that means, and that's okay. Arlie?
A month has passed. I really missed this group. I missed the journeying. I missed hearing about everybody's journey. I missed being in community. I missed being the sisterhood. I'm pretty much living in a tornado right now, what with Avi being here and Weston being here, and they were going to stay for 3 months and suddenly they found an apartment and now we have to manage to move their stuff. And how about Weston stuff from the States? And things are happening with my husband and, blah, blah. So yeah, storms coming, mixing everything up, blowing out what isn't needed. And I missed you ladies. And that's me. So Cinda.
Oh, I wasn't muted. Sorry, you guys are probably hearing me hum and moan through your. I apologize. I'm like, Sue, Marley. Ah, beautiful. All right, where do I even begin? So last weekend I was in San Diego for my nephew's wedding, and he was the first of the grandkids to get married. And as the aunt, I had so much fun. I had so much fun. I mean, like I'm still trying to sleep it off. I don't know what came over me, but I have not danced like that. People were like, who are you? And they're still talking about it. And anyway, but we got back and my son and his fiance are getting married a year from now in Italy. And so immediately the whole family, and my whole family's pretty close, is just chomping at the bits for another wedding because this other one was so much fun. And so we're planning this thing a year in advance, and it's just so magical and incredible. And then a few days ago, I had an appointment with a dermatologist, and there was some concerning spots, and I had them burned off my body. So a great big spot on my ankle, on my wrist, and the side of my nose and my lip. And last night, the boys came over with their girlfriends and made me a beautiful dinner, and it was so wonderful to be together. And I sprung a leak in my lip, and it just started to, I was just like, where's this red coming from? And and they're freaking out, mom, and I'm like, am I bleeding anyway? So I have no thread to this story, but just that I guess it all revolves around family, and just how grateful the chaos is, I guess, Arlie, right? It's like better have it than not. So yeah, anyway, okay. Margie, welcome back. It's so good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Your turn.
Thanks. Good to see you too, Cinda. I resonate. I have a sense of some of the things everyone has been saying by all means. I think that I have a really large family. So there's always turmoil somewhere. I mean, it's just an inevitable process of having a lot of children and a lot of grandchildren. So having said that, we had a graduation in our family. One grandson graduated with his bachelor's degree. One granddaughter just graduated on the same day. So this was on Friday with her master's degree. And there was graduation parties and just, celebrations, which are really so much fun, and lots of family gathering together. And but at the same time, I also have family members who are struggling as well right now. I have a grandson who's a drug addict. I have my niece, who I practically raised, is fallen down the drug addict hole again. And there's just, I have my son who's up in Olympia, who had a mental emotional breakdown last year and has spent the entire year in therapy getting his feet back on the ground. And, he's doing well. So don't bring it up to complain. He's finally turned corners and resolved and done a lot of healing. In my own space, my husband has been declining for the last several years. And they haven't been able to diagnose him, which has been all really a frustrating piece. It appeared to be brain related. And so finally, the neurological team that I've been working with kind of threw up their hands after 3 or 4 years and said, we think we need to send you for a second opinion. So they sent him up to the university, to the neurological team at the University of Utah, and they diagnosed him quickly. I mean, they really knew what was wrong with him, and it is brain related. And he's having surgery, brain surgery, in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from today. So I have that bit of chaos going on in my house as well. He's a kind man and has tried really hard not to be a burden through this process, but his ability to do things has been slipping away by all means. And, I found myself having a moment when I wanted to lay on the floor and kick and scream and pitch a temper tantrum in a selfish moment of saying, I don't want to do more. The less he can do, the more I have to do. And, we still live in our home. There's still yard work. There's still housework. There's still stuff to do. He won't even drive anymore. So I have to be the primary go-to every place. I had to spend some moments with that part of me that felt put upon. I realize as I bump into things that come up for me, they're probably coming up for all of the sacred feminine everywhere. We all have these moments and pockets of things that we're striving to heal so we can all stand up. And every time I heal myself, I'm not just healing myself. I recognize that. Finally, I got back to a spot of grace about it all and have felt a lightness about it. I find it's useful to maintain the eye of the hurricane, just sit in it, because there's always going to be a lot of chaos going on around us. At least that seems to be the story in my world. There's always family things going on. There definitely is always world things going on, country things, political things going on. And it doesn't serve me anyway not to maintain a reasonable amount of peaceful neutrality. And for me, that gives me a grounding into that, gives me hope and keeps me centered in a way that if I couldn't do that, I'm sure I wouldn't. At any rate, I don't think there is a thread to this whole dialogue, but that's my story for right now. And I'm grateful that we're here together. There's something about, I think this last year, I've stayed connected more with, as I could, with women via Zoom. And that's been really useful to have those women who are on the same trajectory. It gives strength, I think, and purpose for each one of us, by all means, to be together and know that we're doing it collectively. Nobody has to do this alone. Angelique?
Thank you, Margie, again. So, where am I? I'm grateful for this first, what I have to share, for the light and the healing energy I've received over the past week. And I felt definitely much, much lighter. And also very sad. I've cried a lot, and it was really beautiful to cry, to give me some space to make my tears flow. And yeah, my mom is on her last journey, and that's okay. I mean, she's 98 and she's going, and it's a very intense process. And I've never thought that I could manage that with her, because we never were very close in this lifetime. But yeah, I may have shared that before, that connecting with her is difficult, of course, now, but I can connect with her soul and I can feel where she is. And it's no big deal at all to take care of her. It's a beautiful thing, you know, like today when I came, she is on morphine now since 3 days. And definitely that makes that she is losing control, really losing control. She's letting go of things which she never wished to do. She didn't want to leave anything because she want to get hold on anything. And now she's losing her control. And also she's losing her urine, of course, because she cannot think about to hold it. And I came the end of the afternoon, and then she was sitting on her bed, but she was half asleep, half not sleep, and yeah, murmuring in herself. And then she noticed me and she said, "Hey, you're there." And I said, "Yeah, yeah, of course I am." And she said, "I have to go to the toilet." And then I helped her there, and she sat there, you know, like a little bird sitting there and saying, "I'm totally wet." And then I had to clean her and wash her and clean her bed. And, you know, and it was like, yeah, that's what I do. I do it for her, you know, and it was sort of beautiful. And she is such a different soul now, so different than we used to connect. It's so different. So I see there's a lot of healing going on in my family. And yesterday was Mother's Day, and for years I didn't see my eldest son. Like you say, Margie, there's always something going on in families, and I don't have so many children. I have 3, but the eldest I didn't see for years, and now over the past month we are connecting again. So he came for Mother's Day with a bouquet of flowers, and we talked and we had spent some beautiful time, and we had lunch with my youngest son, and that's always beautiful. We have a strong connection. And my daughter, who had a really severe period for herself. She wanted to take distance of me for a couple of months, so I didn't see her for half a year, I guess. But I felt she just needed that. She needed that to grow and to, you know, to solve her own things and to take her own space. And she's still healing. And then she got COVID, and her husband got COVID, you know, so there's so much going on. And she was there too. So all 3 of them came, not at the same time, but it was beautiful. So for the first time in years, really, that they were all 3 on Mother's Day with me, and it was like a beautiful blessing. So yeah, there's a lot going on. And like Sharon said, you have to take care of your mom. I'm doing that, and I'm doing it with love. But also my own feed, my soul feed is my circling, you know, the circles I offer, and the circles I'm with you, because I loved it so much. But it's like a base, you know, it's the base, it's the sacred ground. Indeed, it's like sacred ground for me to grow and to stay present. And so this week is going to be a grandmother circle on Wednesday, and it's a small circle, so it's really beautiful. We are together. We are with 5, and then on Sunday I have a youngster circle, and that's for the first time in month that I open a physical circle, of course. And that's meant for, you know, sharing with the youngsters, because they are going through a very, very deep process as well. It's not only us. So we can share where they are and what they love to share, and to shed their tears, and to really connect from a deeper level than only hello and goodbye. You know, that's so much more important. And Milan, my youngest son, is always in my circles. When he's not my photographer for ceremonies, he's there for the ceremonies to join them as well. And then, yeah, we have some beautiful girls, and it's so wonderful. And they come from all over the place. So, yeah, I'm looking very much forward to that. And that's my food for the soul. So, thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the healing vibes. I'm complete. Sharon, I said that, but I was muted.
So has everyone had a chance to say? Oh, boy, it makes me want to say maybe we ought to do this every week. You know, I don't think I'd open up all of the circle, but if we did one circle, this is probably a time that works well for people in other parts of the world, mostly that come. And maybe, and so I think I'll float that idea of continuing a one circle weekly that represents that sacred ground collective groups that we've been doing, because we're not through our walk yet. We're not through our walk yet. And when we open up to more of our good, that's when we put our foot on a deeper part of our journey. And we need the healing and the holding that we have together. And Margie, there's a, and I think the rest of you know this, we have a circle of women who've agreed to and wanted to be a part of what we call cold love. So if something within the group, someone's facing whatever it might be, they just text me and say, like with your husband's surgery in 2 weeks. But then what I would do is just, if you want to, you can just send out and say cold love, and you can say my husband's having surgery, brain surgery, hold him in good space, and then I send it out to the women that are involved with that. And that started with my original tag group. I didn't begin it, they began it. And it's been what, I don't know how many years now. Sue is there, 5 or more. We've been using code love, and then we bring more and more on board because it's been so powerful for our group. So I'm letting you know that if that would be of interest, just send something to me, okay? My life is starting to kind of smooth out, actually. I had Michelle for what, 4 years on an LVAD, 2 years with a heart, etc. And so that was very intense. I had to let go of a lot of my work, and then picking it up again, it's been a very intense time to kind of pull it together. And I like to say my days are eventful. I'm not busy, but I book things that I'm eventful because there's so many things that are moving around that I want to do, feel called to do. And what's happening is it's kind of now beginning to get into a rhythm that's a little bit maybe more sustainable long term, which feels really good. My Michelle, that today is her first day. She was just hired last week, her first job after heart surgery. And so she had to give up any work when she went on the LVAD. They said, you cannot work, you won't survive. She was counting last night, there were 6 different times in this journey that she was told by the medical profession, she had 1 month to live. She had maybe a year to live. She had a week and a half to live. She was bleeding internally, and she might not make it through surgery. I mean, 5 different times that she they told her, be prepared because you're not going to make it through. And we recalled that I was at the hospital. She'd gotten her LVAD, which is the heart pump, and so she was back in her room. And they have, of course, the tube down the mouth. She was incubated, and her nurse going off shift was changing her urine bag and noticed blood in it, and immediately realized something was wrong with the surgery. She was bleeding internally. Had she not at that moment seen it, she would have bled to death without us even knowing that there was a problem. So, I mean, immediately, I think there was about 7 different professionals in the room. They started to wheel her down to the operating table. Her nurse got on the top with her, keeping her breathing. And Michelle looked at me with eyes, I have never seen those kind of eyes. And she said, Mom, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And she realized when she was talking that she had kind of accepted that she probably would, she had never made a clear decision to not die. And she was just slowly dying. And there she is. And she looks up in my eye and she says to me, I don't want to die. I said, you're not dying. You're not dying. So, for her this is her first day at the job that she probably could, it's easy job for her because it's way below what she's capable of, but it's perfect for where she's at. Not only for now, but she could retire at this company and stay on the island, make good money, have benefits. I mean, it's just like amazing. So, that the downs we go through really pull us through the hurricanes, don't they? And for me, I don't know what I would have done had I not understood energy and guides, and I don't know how, seeing bigger pictures and getting help and more tools. I mean, I don't know how people go through it. I can really understand how you can feel powerless and hopeless and not knowing where to go. And that's why, people are out there needing our voices. So anyway, we're celebrating Michelle's job, and Diana, my daughter, who was with a really narcissistic guy. Oh my gosh, 7 years of that. And to see the change in her, which then the change in him, and then the change in my grandson is just unbelievable. And she has she calls her spiritual team. I said, what are you going to call your spiritual team? Because she's really had to work with them. And she said, oh, I hadn't given them a name yet. I said, well, why don't you think of a name? She said, well, let's see, Leaf's a great artist. He's 9. Leaf and I have this ship, and he draws boats and ships and all kinds of things. And we named it the Healing Winds. She said, that's the name of our team, the Healing Wind team. So, the additional piece that working in the unseen brings to us as we walk through physical just cannot be understated. I mean, you've overstated. It's just amazing. So we're here together in that realm and in that work. And I definitely will let you know, because I think we really need to have at least one weekly call for anybody who wants to keep that support going. So, okay, anything you want to say before, because we're going to do a journey it'll be your journey. I don't know where you're going to be going. I don't need to know. You don't know. You don't need to know, which is really great because we all are in very different places, and we're here to hold that expansive possibilities for all of us, and that opens the door for you to be shown. Angelique, did you want to say something before we start?
Yeah, I love to share something beautiful after you said what's the name of the team of your daughter. For years, really for a really long time, I'm journeying to a place where I meet always the same team, and they are there for I don't know how long as I can remember. And now since I'm in your circles, they came together and they pronounce themselves as the Council of 7. So the Council of 7 is my team. Yeah, it's beautiful, really.
Yes.
And it's like you come in a certain place where I've always been. It's a place that you immediately are there, and then you see them. Hey, you are there again. And it's so beautiful. Yeah. And it's like a journey in a place in a parallel world. It's so beautiful. So the Council of 7 is always there. It's wonderful to work with them. Yeah.
Really.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, are we ready? Got your journals handy? Okay, so let's acknowledge our physical body. I really want to make sure we acknowledge the bodysuit is what gives us rights and privileges and responsibilities too, but experiences that are very, very, very valuable. And as we journey today, I ask that our causal teams, those teams that help design the bodysuit itself, be there to upgrade whatever needs to be upgraded in the body, the vitality that we might need, open more flow for that, more stamina, greater balance, our organs and systems working together. This is the time for the physical body to kind of get any upgrade that's needed. And let your breath move the energy coming in through the crown chakra, through every pore of your skin, really right down the midline of your body. Flowing that energy through the power centers, the DNA affords. And that energy moving right down through the soles of your feet. Blessing the earth, being blessed by her and rooted like a tree in this amazing forest of women. And all of the roots of sisterhood everywhere on the planet, no matter where or what time, space, region, or lifetime. That energy, the wisdom, intelligence is there. With your breath, breathe that up also to become part of your energy field. Flowing within the vortex of the guardian circle. We are prepared for the journey that awaits us. So just notice that as you move to that sacred ground of sovereignty that is beyond time and space, it has a form there. It has qualities and beings. Delighted to have you there. There are other sisters, all ages. Some we remember and some are new there. And we are all in support of bringing our divine family's agendas of good, the songs, the harmonics, the qualities, the structures, the connections, the relationships that bring benefit. And we are part of that plan. So look around, there's your team beckoning to you. They know what is the journey path for you, and they will bring you back safely. So be with them, and we will see you back when you're complete. So let's do another minute, if that will be enough. Oop, looks like everybody's ready. Okay, Cinda, let's start with you. Is that okay?
So I was really just so inspired, Sharon, by your story of Michelle. I mean, having been on this journey with you, and I remember being in the car and you called when, you know, that you had just been, you just received the information that there was a potential for a plan B. And that, and so we were all doing, in a way, a code love for a heart. And then, you know, not thinking it would be possible. And then all of a sudden a phone call that says it's an option. We found one. Oh, and to know where she is now. So, you know, I know from my own experience, and I know from working with my own clients, and I know because of my teachings and working with Sharon, that healing is possible for self and others. And that it just takes that choice for ourselves that I want to be well. Or like when Michelle said, I don't want to die, and that clarity. So I just wanted to know if there was, so in my meditation and my travels, I just wanted to know if there was anything more I should know about this process that I could bring into the work that I do as well. And basically, you know, I was immediately drawn to grace, Margie. It was just like, bring it in, grace, bring it in, tell me, guide me. And a lot of the work that I'd been doing prior, I hadn't been incorporating Grace's energy, which I would be doing now because Grace is such a big part of the work I do. But validation to bring that energy in. And then also now to incorporate the teachings that Sharon has taught us, because it's anchored, even though it's so galactic, Sharon, it's so anchored on this earthly plane. And so much of the work I do is way up here that it just brings it all together into a really powerful ball of energy. And, yeah, so I mean, it was just really very profound, very clear, and yet also very simple. So thank you. Margie, how about you?
I started meditation and found myself transported to a place where I'm participating in a group of sisters at a time when we are very joyful and we're sharing and supported. We support each other and we're accepted and needed and wanted in the world in a way that was completely without fear and completely filled with joy, which was a lovely place to touch into. From that place, I could see almost like I was looking down through the tunnel of time, like that the sacred feminine from that point has walked through eons of time of great difficulty, with the sole purpose of keeping us alive so we could be here now. And it was really profound to look at it, that all of that difficulty was with purpose and learning as well, and it's going to be useful to us now. I heard them say, we who are here now, the young, the old, the in-between, the women who are the souls that are in female bodysuits, we are the ones that are to bring the light back into the world. It was really clear that the sacred feminine's role to keep us all alive so we could be here now is so we could be the light. It was really simple, but really profound. And then I found myself with this team, spiritual team, assisting with my own light. In fact, they showed me something that looks like a lantern that you carry, and the light is really big, and yet they were building energetic barriers. They said to me, remember, you're just the lantern. All your job is to make sure the light's bright. We'll build the barrier to protect it. And I thought, oh my gosh, that is so rewarding. And about that same time, this big Taurus started moving through my body, which I see the Taurus energy actually a lot when I meditate. And at that point, I remembered when they were reminding me to be the lantern, just be the lantern. It reminded me of a time not so long ago. I was sitting in meditation. I was asking my spiritual team about something I thought I needed to do. And the words that came back were, we don't care what you do. Well, it isn't the usual kind of comment that I get from them. So I waited for a minute. I expected there must be more. And so I waited. And then they said, what we care about is that you pay attention to the quality of your light. If you do that, whatever you choose to do will be fine. And so it was really, it was like looking at from so long ago when everything was beautiful through all the travails of terror and harm. So we could be here now to be lanterns. So that was my whole journey. Arlie, I think you're up.
When I first started, my guides told me this was going to be a journey about energy above and energy below. And when I don't really know where to start, I walked down a path. So I started walking down this path and I came to a clearing in these really dense woods, dense woods. And I knew that overhead was the storm raging, the winds blowing, the whole thing that I'm actually experiencing right here, right now. And in the center of this clearing, there was a stone altar, just an altar just sitting there, nothing else in the clearing. So I went up to the altar, and on the altar was a sword. My usual tool is an antheme. I think that's how it's pronounced, with a triangular blade. It's only about 6 inches long, but this was like sword of justice. So I picked the sword up and I was holding it over my head, and a lightning strike hit the sword, came down through my arm, through the altar, back to me, down through my feet. I followed it underground, out my feet underground, to all the roots. I was rooted at that point in the earth. And through the roots, and I received the message that growing roots into the earth and being grounded is a fine and good thing. And connecting with sisters via the roots is a fine and good thing. But that we need to be mindful that people ground energy for cleansing. People give things to Mother Earth, and all of this is not cleansed immediately. And a part of the Thanksgiving address, the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address, came to me that says, we send a Thanksgiving and a greeting to the thunder beings that keeps that keeps that below the surface of the earth, which should not see the light of day. That's a paraphrase. That's not the wording that I was taught, but that's the idea. And that we need to be mindful when we're busy reaching down and growing these roots, that we don't plug into those pockets and bring them up to the surface. We need to use our discernment as women. We need to be aware and not just willy-nilly go down. Isn't this fun? I'm growing roots. Woohoo! And let's see. But definitely we should be growing these roots. Just do it with awareness. And that's where I went, and that's what I did. So Sue, you're up.
I didn't turn my music on this time. My music transports me right out of where I am and in. But what I remembered was before I met Sharon, I think it was another woman named Sharon. And I don't know exactly what her healing modality was, but once she adjusted all my energy, she would put little BBs in my ear, and I was to wear them for a week. And it was a little stimulation to to energy meridians to keep what she adjusted in place. And one day we were working, and she said, "Oh my gosh, you have so big, you have such a big team. I mean, there are so many in your team." Well, this was the first time I even heard I had a team. And then she said, "Oh my gosh, but it's not the team, it's everybody else that's in this room." So I'm just sitting there. I don't know what to say. And she says, "There are so many people here waiting to see what you're going to do next." She said, "This room is full. Okay, everybody out. I need everybody out. I cannot work like this. You have to leave." And I don't know why it came to me today, but when you talked about a team, then I flashed back to that day in her office. And not too long ago, I had a really strong feeling of my spiritual team, and I don't feel them. So I don't feel connected to them. And that day, oh my gosh, I felt so connected. It's like home. It felt like home. So today I'm trying to tie all the pieces together, and something inside of me has settled. It's like it just settled down. So I don't feel the anxiety. I don't feel how tired I was earlier. I don't know that I have clarity, but on some level, there's clarity. And what came in a couple of days ago was on Facebook, I saw this wonderful, beautiful picture of the property in Minnesota where I moved to. I think it was 3 years now. And I could feel it. I could feel the calm. I could feel the magic of the land and the animals. And it felt like home. And it felt like I was supposed to be there, but I'm not. So I just let it go. And so here I am. And I don't know how things are going to come together, because it's usually never quite what I imagine. But it feels like it's time for something to come together in the physical world. Now that there's been so much change in the spiritual world. But I just don't know. I usually get a lot of clarity, and I don't have it this time. And if it comes to my making a decision, I have made my decision over and over again. And it's like when I took 95% of my possessions and moved to Minnesota, it worked for 2 months, and then the whole thing fell apart. And I have made a decision, and the person I was working with, and the whole thing fell apart. And I did it again in Edmonds, and everything worked together, and then the whole thing fell apart. And I thought it was something in me, but it's not. each one of those experiences gave me something, but it wasn't the end of whatever the accumulation is of all of these all of these starts. It's in preparation for something else. So whatever the preparation is, I hope it's time, because I'm kind of tired of false starts. There's been a lot of them. And I would like to feel that I was right, not just right where I'm supposed to be right now, but where my calling is. I would like to feel a connection between what I'm doing, where I am, and my purpose. So we'll see where that takes me. And I would love to meet once a week to keep, because there's a momentum, there's a building of energy, and I felt it shift when we made the decision we weren't going to meet every week. But I did something else, and that something else is over. And so I'm ready to go back to our circle meeting on a weekly basis. And I am complete. Ho. Angelique?
Thank you, Sue. I so agree. I just feel the same. Coming together every week is such a wonderful idea. Yeah, sounds beautiful. Looking forward to that, ladies. So my journey, I entered, yeah, it's not like a coincidence that I just talked before where I was going every time I went there again. Of course, I was there immediately. And my team was waiting for me. And they were really like kind of excited, saying, yeah, we sent you on a journey. You have to go on a journey. And I said, okay. And they were like counting down from 10 to 0. And I was really launched like like a space shuttle or something into the open. And there was a full, like a flow of stardust, but it was pink. It was pink powder, pink stardust. And when the stardust went down, came down onto the earth, I was landing in a very dense, deep forest as well, like you, Arling. Very deep forest, very dense, very, what you call it, moist, really moist. And there were plenty of birds, many, many birds above the trees. And the trees were huge, really, really huge, enormous. And they were covered on the roots. They were standing tall, and the roots were going into the earth and covered with moss, like the color of Arlie's blouse, really deep green moss. And I was meant to listen to what they were speaking, and they listen to their voices and their messages, and to understand that all forests are connected worldwide, that we are just like connected by their system, by their mycelium system. And these trees are enormous, high, majestic, and they connected with each other. And they love to communicate, and they love to connect, and they love to speak and share of the new ways of how to stay healthy, of staying healthy. to the human tribe. They have the messages for the human tribe to stay healthy. And by drinking from their bodies, a sort of, yeah, like tapping a sort of liquid from their bodies and drinking that. And every tree has his or her own task, and they speak telepathically to me, but to everyone. And by connecting with one old lady tree, really old tree, ancient one, she shared that in our new world, we will be connecting through a new, like not a new, but very ancient, but it's new to us, way of telepathy. And by weaving like a crystalline web underneath, and the crystals are in between the roots. And when we learn to understand that these crystals are there for connecting, we can connect, and we stay in it. We can share this healing light and these healing tones, because there are also tones involved, and it's healing light, and we have to listen to the trees. So that was the message. I'm complete. Thank you. Cinda, did you were there already? I guess, did you? Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, Sharon, then I go back to you. I was still in my journey. Sorry for that. Oh, thank you.
So I didn't go very far. It was like right here where I am at. And they reminded me of what I brought into the circle, of that deeper roots down to bedrock, the depth of that bedrock. And so I said, how can I bring that depth? How can I strengthen my depth of bedrock and then bring it out? Because being in the bedrock, holding the roots, is not bringing it out where other people might need to know about that. So I needed to, so how can I do that? And they said, well, duh, make a statement that you have, reality statement, hello. So I did. So I shine from deeper roots in great safety, share in answer to the call from thousands, because I think we are being called. I think our ideas are not just an isolated idea. We are being called. And so I said, okay, got that in place. I said, what to do? They said, well, you'll need to re-examine your systems of existence, how to keep everything, alarm clock, calendar, to keep things moving. You're going to have to upgrade your system of existence again. So I thought, okay, it's like putting together a map, putting together an understanding. And I said, I got that. I have to do that. And are you going to help guide me? And they said, well, duh, you're doing this 2-day weekend next weekend, Friday, Saturday. Isn't that what you're going to be talking about? What kind of model, what kind of system could help to bring an idea into form, and why, and how was it fit with universal law? And I said, so they said, just you be one of the participants. And I said, okay. So then I said, do I have a team for this expansion? Because to me, every time you make kind of a shift in your consciousness of some kind, I've really learned that I need to check to see if I have sufficient mentors on my team for that shift. And if not, upgrade. They said, no, you need to ask, there's some others we need to bring on board for specifically the work that's going on under the Sacred Ground Collective, which is these circles and the work and the community building that's really starting to come together. And that we need to we want to redo and upgrade the team. And so that's what I did. It's just like setting a new door to open, and then seeing how that will fit into my real life of physical limits. And so that's it. But I wanted to go back to Arlie, because Arlie, I think we do guardian circles around the earth. We do circles about cultures and families and individuals, and we call Mother Earth because she's part of the authority that females have. But I have never thought to really focus on what I will call inner earth, which is what you were led to. And I think that's really, really a very important thing to bring to the circle, because we not only have to be discerning about roots, we have to bring into the inner earth, the PTO, the guardian circle that actively identifies and removes. And it's something that I had not been led to. So thank you for bringing that into the circle. Okay, so we'll begin to do that too. Anything you want to share from what you've heard before we close?
So glad to be back in circle with these women, hearing the journeys and the stories. It's like fertilizer for my thoughts and my journeys when I'm not in the circle. Very, very grateful to be here.
True. So I have some property along the Columbia River Gorge, and quite a few years ago when we were brand new, we brought in a Native American expert to clear and cleanse the land, because it's like Lewis and Clark, where they're visited. In their journey, they even wrote a place that seemed very similar to where our property is. And so I believe that the natives, I know the natives live there. Anyway, point being, one of the rituals that she did is she sent down into the earth energetic net that she could visualize. And then she pulled like 100 feet below the surface. And she pulled the energy up to the surface that only she could see. And, and then released it into the air. And then she wove the net a little tighter and did it again to pull up, so before it was pulling up the big stuff, and then it pulled up the smaller stuff. And any energy that was not in alignment to the earth, to the land. And I thought that was extraordinary, number one, to witness her do this. But now, after hearing your guys's and what Sharon just brought up, had I known then what I know now, I would have been there doing it with her, and I would have called in the PTO to take that energy back from whence it came, right? Because she just released it into the atmosphere. And I'm sure that in a way the PTO was working for her without ever really needing to be, I assume, I hope. But it was such a ritual that she walked me through that it would just be so easy to duplicate it wherever I am in my own backyard, but knowing that we can call that PTO after we pull the energy up with Gaia's permission, to take it back, send it back, is I just think really important. Yeah, so thank you.
Okay, so I will let you know, my leaning is toward doing a Monday circle and seeing if that will fit for Wednesdays, because we have had a Wednesday, a Saturday, and if we could do it once a week, whoever can be there, I think would be really great. And so Monday might be a good place. So we are ready. If you're interested in the 2-day event of what you are called and how do you get it out in the world in a way that's in alignment to that integrated and galactic information. I'll send the link out with that. And Margie, let us know about Code Love. And until probably next Monday, unless something really strange appears, we'll be back together, okay? So lots of love to you. And you're
Thank
right.
you, everybody. Yeah.
Love
Bill.
and hugs.
Yeah. Bye, loves.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.